Hi! This week's lesson is kind of tough because it's 10 chapters and I'm not sure quite how to handle that because so much good stuff happens that I want to tell you about. So I'll just get started and we'll see how far I get, and then maybe I'll make a couple of other videos about it because there's a lot of cool stuff that happens. So first, let me go back and so you can tell where we are. Remember the last time we talked about the Zoramites. They were the guys who went up on the tower and prayed once a week. Well, a lot of them were converted and with Alma and left with him and joined the Nephites. And they joined the church and they were super happy. Well, the rich Zoramites that were left were really mad that these guys left. And they wanted to get back at them. And they figured out the way to do that was to join the Lamanites. So they joined the Lamanites, and also with the Lamanites were the Amalekites. They were other Nephites who had left who hated the Nephites too. So we have the Amalekites and the Zoramites who are Nephites, but they hate Nephites, and they are now with the Lamanites, and all of them want to kill the Nephites. They are also mad about the people of Ammon. Remember the anti-Nephilites who gave up their weapons? They really want to kill them. So the Nephites are guarding them and protecting themselves. And the head of all of the armies is a guy named Captain Moroni. Maybe he looks like this, or maybe he looks like this. Anyway, Captain Moroni was only 25 years old, which is about the age of Matt. Can you imagine him being in charge of the whole country's armies? Anyway, Moroni was a really great man, and this is not the same as Angel Moroni. It's a different Moroni. So Captain Moroni knew that he needed to prepare his people for these battles that were going to happen. So the way he prepared them was to get them some armor. So he got them helmets and breastplates. The breastplates are like this is on this guy. Here's like the back of this, like metal breastplates. And they were over their chests. And they got shields. And they had shields on their legs and on their arms to protect them too. And then they had really good swords. So they were prepared to fight these Lamanites when they came, because this is what the Lamanites were wearing. They just had on little skirts, and they had nothing to protect them. So when the Lamanites first go and try to fight the Nephites, they take a look at Moroni's army and say, we don't want to fight these guys. Now, there are a lot of Lamanites. There are twice as many of these Lamanites, Amalekites, and Zoramites than there are of Nephites. But once they see that armor, they run into the woods, and they decide that they will attack a different city that maybe the tough guy Moroni is not at. So they're plotting over there. Well, Moroni is really smart, and so what he does is he sends spies, and the spies go out and watch what the Lamanites are doing. But then he does something really great. Moroni sends a messenger to the prophet, Alma. Alma's the prophet, and we know that prophets can speak with Heavenly Father for behalf of the church, and that we need to follow the prophets because they can keep us safe. Well, the messenger came to Alma and said that Moroni wanted Alma to pray to Heavenly Father to find out where those Lamanites were going to be so that they could be prepared to protect themselves from them. So Alma does pray to Heavenly Father, and Heavenly Father gives him the answer to where they need to put their armies. Now, if they were fighting to take over somebody, or be tougher than another group, Heavenly Father would not answer that kind of a prayer. But these guys just wanted to defend their family and their church, because they knew if the Lamanites took over, they wouldn't be able to worship Heavenly Father anymore. So they were fighting a good cause, it's called. So Moroni took his men and had them travel to the place that Alma had told them about. And he used strategy to figure out how he could kind of trap them, the Lamanites, in this area. So he had some guys across the water, some guys here, and he had another group of guys in the back who was forcing the Lamanites up this way to them. So the Lamanites saw all these guys there. They were pretty surprised, but they did start to battle them. And a lot of them were dying because they didn't have anything to protect them. And so the Nephites were winning and defending themselves against these guys who had attacked them. Because they were losing, the Lamanites got really scared and started fighting even harder. And they were really fierce and started killing some of the Nephites. Well, Moroni could see that the Nephites wanted to quit and go home, but he reminded them that they were defending their lands and their liberty and freedom from slavery. And so the Nephites all got together and cried to Heavenly Father to help them protect their liberty and their freedom. And within the hour that they cried to him, that they prayed to Heavenly Father, they started to win again, and the Lamanites were scared, and some were running away, and a lot of them were getting killed. And so Moroni said, wait a minute, stop the war. So he stops the war, and he says, we don't want. So Moroni stops the war, and he says, Zarahemnah, who is the leader of the Lamanite group, you can see that God is with us, and he is so powerful, and he has delivered you to us and helped us to beat you. And we could go ahead and destroy you. But if you will give us your weapons and make a promise that you won't fight us anymore, we will let you go. Otherwise, we will have to kill you all. And we can do this because God is on our side. As long as we remain righteous, he will be there to protect us. And we have great faith in him, and he is helping us. You should be able to see that he has helped us so much. Well, Zarahemnah says, okay, you can have my sword, but I will not make an oath that I know I will break. And I don't believe that it was your God that helped you. I believe it was your breastplates and your armor that helped you. It had nothing to do with God. And so I won't make that promise. So Moroni says, okay, you can have back your sword. If you won't make the promise, then we're going to have to continue the battle. So that made Zarahemnah really mad right then, and he tried to kill Alma. But before he could kill him, one of Alma's guards knocked the sword out of his hand, and he took the knife and cut his hair off the top of his head. And he put the hair on top of his sword, which is kind of right there. And he showed all the Lamanites this, and he said, look, we're going to have to kill all of you unless you make a promise that you won't fight us anymore and give us your weapons. So a bunch of them agreed, and so they gave up their weapons, and they allowed them to go back into the wilderness. and be safe. But the rest of them didn't agree. And in fact, they were so mad that these other guys had left and that the Nephites were trying to kill them, that they started fighting really, really hard. But Moroni and his army was fighting even harder, and many lives were lost in this battle. Finally, when they were about to finish off the Lamanites, the leader of the Lamanites, Zerahemnah, says, okay, we give up. So Moroni stopped the battle again, and these guys gave up their weapons of war and were allowed to leave when they made a covenant that they would be peaceful and not attack them anymore. So many were killed in this battle that they couldn't even count all of them. So it was very sad. But the war was over, and Moroni and his army were able to return to their homes. Let's see if we can find some things that will be helpful to us. Let's look at the things that Moroni did. What did he do first? That's right. He got them all ready for battle. He prepared ahead of time. He knew that he needed to be prepared. I have a guy like Moroni, but there's something wrong. Can you tell me what's wrong with him so that we know this is not Moroni? What can you see? Did you see that he's not wearing a breastplate? He's not wearing anything to protect his chest. And we know from the scriptures that he did have something to protect his chest, and the other guys had stuff too. So being prepared for your battle is important. So the different armor that they put on, you could even have a lesson about what those different pieces of armor could be in your life, how you can protect yourself. Like maybe a shield is saying your prayers and a helmet is reading your scriptures. There are different things that will prepare you for a battle against evil that is your armor. Okay, what is the next thing that he did that was so cool? He sent a messenger to ask Alma the prophet what they should do. So that really showed that he had faith in Heavenly Father and that he knew Heavenly Father spoke to his prophets. And that shows us that we need to follow our prophet, and that if we follow the prophets, they will know the things to protect us, and that we can be safe if we follow the prophet, and how important that is. Okay. They did something else. Can you think of anything else that they did? Moroni did use strategy, so he was smart, so he had a good education. And they also prayed and cried to Heavenly Father for help. So we know when we're struggling and need help in our battles that we can cry to Him for help too. So those are a few things we've learned from this particular battle. So that will be the end of this lesson since Grandpa came out anyways. Okay, talk to you later.
Bye!